So let's get started for today. Thank you everyone for coming to the live stream. My masterclass and Portrait Studio are both on sale. Really big sale. It's 50% off and it will end toward the end of April. So I'm keeping this sale running until probably May 1st or April 30th. 50% off for both. Portrait Studio you'll see me use today, and my masterclass, I just talked about it. It's a complete and total masterclass. You get brushes, templates, and like 11,000 words, I believe, if I remember correctly, text, basically a mini booklet of every brushstroke you need to understand and every step of the brushstroke. I literally list out all the major brushstrokes of the face. For those who are list oriented, this class is for you. Technical thinkers who need diagrams, this class is for you. For those who need visual aid, who need to see it done before them, who need that one-to-one explanation, that kind of open dialogue, that's what the rest of the video is for. I show you how to transfer from grayscale to color, all the fundamentals and basics of color theory on skin tones. It's all there, and you can get it through Gumroad. And have a look through this, click on it, have a look through it. If you want to get your work critiqued by me, you're not sure how, no, you do not have to pay. You just have to go to istebrak.com. Critiquing you is free, absolutely free. You just have to go to the subreddit, and that's it. You just submit your work here. I look through it and pick pieces to critique from here. So a lot of the pieces you've seen, like last week's 3/4 view, was from here. And the more you scroll, the more familiar these pieces will seem, because this is where I get work to critique. This is how the channel runs. You submit your work, I critique it, I teach you. There's also a new way to submit your art if you don't know how to use Reddit, if you're not familiar with it. There's the Discord community. You just click on the community tab on my website, istebrak.com/community. You join the Discord server, and if you scroll through the text channels, you'll be able to find a little general critique text channel right here. You click on that and you just submit your work, and the channel history goes on forever. And this is where a lot of the pieces I've picked, this is where they get critiqued. I look through both very regularly. I critique pieces through both, okay? And it's both free, both 100% free. The only thing that isn't free is my Patreon. Patreon has a little bit of extra educational material. In Patreon, the apprentices get a monthly critique assignment. That's the main reward. That's the reward, because you're my student, you're my apprentice, and I assign homework. I critique all the work that you submit, and that goes month to month, and you're just doing homework. You have a deadline. You have accountability. You feel like you're in a classroom, but it's not stressful. It's very open. It's very relaxed. And there's a new reward system. If you join as an apprentice and you're doing the 14-day challenge, you can choose to do that for homework instead of homework I assign. Even my masterclass is about the 14-day challenge. It's basically teaching you all the basic tools of painting a portrait, from the first brushstroke to the last brushstroke, and it's just there to help you get through the motions, learn all of the basic steps, fundamental foundation knowledge, moving into the final day where you're just comparing your last day to your first day, and you're just like, holy cow, I have improved so much. And that's the power of practice, of repetition, which is why I find it so important to keep this channel open for 14-day challengers at all times. Like, you can see many 14-day challengers on the community right now. Let's get started for today. I will talk about the Floral Humanoid Design Challenge at the end of class, but before I get started, I just want to show you somebody's current progress. So friggin' cute. I love your color choices. I love the mood board you've set up here. This is the kind of stuff I really want to see. I want to see you do the yellow and pink speckles. I am looking for that, and I love that little texture. I see a lot of blur and smudge brush here. Love the reference you picked up off Portrait Studio. In Portrait Studio, you have a mannequin that you can pose, and I love how you elongated the neck. Absolutely love that. I'm not sure what flower this is, star flower. I love what you're doing. I hope to see a lot of pinks and yellows and this particular detail in the pattern just over here somewhere. And don't feel intimidated by this detail, because it's just one little paper form study under another. You can do this. You don't have to feel like you need to quick automate the brush strokes for this or be too painterly, you can do this detail. It's right there in front of you, grayscale if you need to. I love this color. I love the translucency and then the soft values. What this is a design challenge, and it's going to be, it is hosted. It's currently live. It's hosted through my subreddit, so please go there. But you can also join the Discord to discuss everything else about it with your other friends and people who are going to join. And yeah, have fun with it. I cannot wait to see more of these submissions. Love what I'm seeing so far. And that's due around mid-May or end of May. It's a while from now, so you have time to work on it and you can do it. Let's talk about this person's work. So they're painting some eyes. They have a reference, and they have something that I call kind of like that kind of rigidity, that kind of mechanical eye that just doesn't look human. It looks like an eye, but it looks like it doesn't look quite human the way you're structuring it. And by now in the rendering, yeah, it usually does look a little bit painterly, but it's not something that I don't feel like it's something that students are blending away by the time they think they're done the illustration. They'll hand in work to me that looks like this, and they'll say, this is an eye. This is not an eye. Okay, this is the starting of an eye, and then it seems to just be frozen here. And a lot of you, your skill is frozen in eyes that look like this. So let's talk about how to make this eye look more realistic. And let's talk about what the blocks are specifically, what they need to be. So I'm going to load the low poly model, and I'm just going to get some basic lighting that I feel like is just decent lighting for a portrait. You obviously don't want lighting, do not study lighting like this if you're a beginner. Do not study lighting like this if you're a beginner. None of these are beginner friendly. Study lighting like this, where you have a slight nose shadow, slight shadows coming off all the features. This is the standard light we understand because we see people day to day since the dawn of time with the sun above us. It's an overhead light. So to study the basic template of a human face, study it with the basic template of lighting, and know that you can study others eventually. But study the planes of the face this way. So what did you get wrong, and why does yours look like a robot's eye, and why? How do we get to that point? Well, it's not just about the block. This block that you did really is what's killing the portrait right now. So basically with the eye, you want to make sure that you get that curved, cylindrical look to the eyebrow that's present without it looking Neanderthal-like, because that's what was happening before. All your brow bones were extremely overpronounced, very, very strong, and it did not look human anymore. It looked like some kind of humanoid, but not human, kind of like that monster from Prometheus, or that alien humanoid species from Prometheus. I don't know if you guys looked at that, but a lot of you guys, when you start studying diagrams, art books, for some reason, all your art starts to look like those aliens from Prometheus. Look it up, Alien from Prometheus. Next thing I'm going to do is just radially shade the eye socket. This is what you're missing in nearly all of your eyes. And I'm just going to show you how important that was. So I'm just deleting along the edge. This is the point where we get pinched, and both references have this eye socket. And so when you're studying structure of the eye, but you don't want to get into photo referencing or super detail too soon, study a basic block model like that. It'll teach you not to get too blocky that it'll look like the Prometheus alien, but it'll also not force you to characterize too early, which might happen if you use a photo reference. Another thing you guys are doing that is sort of damaging your ability to see the structure is this, which is one of the most important things not to do, because it's blocking your ability to see the sphere because you have a gigantic iris right there. So because we got rid of that, now we can see there's a ball in the eye. So we have the eye socket shadow down. I'm going to apply the core shadow of the ball of the eye. It's a ball. It's an eyeball. Why does it not have a core shadow? right? That's a very big mistake. And I'm also in a new layer going to radially climb up. Radially is when you use low opacity, but 100% white or 100% black. So you saw me use radial shading around the eye socket for black. Now I'm using radial shading for white around the white of the eye, and I'm slowly climbing up in slivers. And I'm just gonna delete with a soft brush because the next most important thing that makes the eye look super realistic is the cast shadow. So all I'm doing is deleting at that white I just added to create the the cast shadow of the eyelid. The thing is, you're memorizing structure more than the balance of structure and anatomy. So this is kind of a little bit more of an advanced topic because it's so abstract to think about until you're challenged with it. But a lot of the beginner students also deal with this, so it seems remiss not to talk about it because it's an advanced topic. Well, you know, beginners are suffering from it as well. So I'm hoping you guys understand what I mean. But here's a quick little trick to show you that this is actually really good blocking here. The blocks are blocking, yes, but they're blocking around a central curvature that's expected out of anatomy. So all of these areas I'm blending the fatty areas first. So all the cheeks and all the forehead and all the curved surfaces that I know to be curved, and I'm taking care of those. And then I'm blending smaller areas. So this reference is a really, really safe, good balance between geometry and anatomy. Geometry prepares for the anatomy. Geometry doesn't eclipse the anatomy so that when you're done blending, it looks like some kind of robotic android alien from Prometheus type thing. And a lot of you have that. You start painting eyes realistically, you're starting from the ground up, all of a sudden you're painting robots. And there's no tutorial out there about that. There's nothing. It's just, oh, the tutorials that are out there are causing this problem because they're like Loomis method this and do that. And they get so like overwhelmed by how many methods there are. They just start over structuring their faces. And even when they mean to draw women, they're drawing these really strong brow bones, really strong cheekbones, and everybody looks like Optimus Prime. And then I'm just adding really quickly the cast shadow of the brow bone. Just like I said, the light comes from above. So it just likes to fall on anything around it. And I'm just widening the cast shadow of the lash line. And over here. The reason why the Portrait Studio model can be trusted, we didn't use something non-spherical. We used a very spherical base for the eyeball. And then so this lash line here, this lash line here. And then now I'm just going to render this eye. I'm going to render it to the best of my ability and just basically keep moving forward with it. And then here, and the start of the eyebrow, we're smudging upward. And then you can smudge down and then get that same scatter smudge again and lower the strength. You have to lower the strength for the scatter brush. If you don't lower it, you're going to end up with a really, really crazy effect. So now the eyebrow hairs feel like they're growing. Do you see that? Because what we did with the smudge brush is we followed a certain path, and in real life that's the actual path hair travels, and eventually it all collects over here. I'm just making sure the the pupil is on the inside, and then I color that in, darken this completely. And bring out that rim of the eye. And then just pick where that highlighter, that white highlighter, is going to go, just around this general area, but don't paint it in yet. And then while respecting the shadow of the upper eyelid, I'm gradually darkening towards the top. So darkening, and then it's almost like radial shading, gradually darkening towards the top. And then usually the highlights of the eye hang out around the inner corner and the lower half. So the inner corner, like inner rim, and the lower half. So you want to, if you add any color, if you add any light, they're usually hanging out in the bottom here. So this isn't the be all end all of all eye tutorials on my channel especially, but it's something to help this particular student move forward. And you can add the entire highlight around the whole eyeball, or you can add just this. You could literally add it anywhere you want and it looks right. So far, what's the list of things to look out for when painting an eye, making sure that it's not overly structured, doesn't look too robotic. You have the sphere of the eye, but you have the bone structure that it's inside of, which looks like that. And then you have the eyelids, which hang on with a lot of tendons and little sinews and muscles that sit on top of this eyelid. So in the end, we only see so much of the eyeball. But of the eyeball, we see the core shadow, we see the core shadow of the cast shadow of the lash line. And over here where the eyeball was and the bone was, there's also a brow bone that we're seeing. And that brow bone is important to know because it also shows you where you're supposed to be putting in that crease line. So you have to have that crease line. That crease line is gradual and slowly comes in. Look at the lines I'm drawing. They're contour lines. And then you have lower eyelid option to add the crease line. It's not that big because fat likes to hang off the eye. And so it kind of cancels out a lot of the creases, but it's still there. And there is something like a crease for the lower eyelid sometimes. You have the inner corner anatomy, outer corner anatomy. You have the contrast of the lash line. You have the waterline, which is really important. That's it. That's what makes an eye an eye. The curvature of an eyeball. The planes, you have to make sure you understand these planes right here. This plane here. This curve, which I don't like to block when you need to curve. Like, I don't like to show the cylinder with blocking because it's just it feels wrong. I cringe because a cylinder is a very round thing that doesn't need no block to represent it. It just needs a diagram. And this is why I'm always assigning trace over diagrams to students. So this student right here, I forget your name on the subreddit, do some trace over diagrams, get a photo reference better than this one, and trace over it with color coding, just like I did. Red for the bone structure, blue for the skin, and green for the general areas you have to block and anything else that's designated. Geometric anatomy, grid line, color code it however you want. So when you actually do trace over diagrams, your brain, so this is your brain, right? And this is your skull. Your brain at this point was thinking of an eye and really like half an image here. One picture you saw, the last person's eye that you saw. And your brain is just creating an image based off the last couple things it saw that were related to eye. The first things it ever saw when you were learning language related to eye. When you do trace over diagrams, you completely get rid of all of this stuff and replace it with really trustworthy layer upon layer of what it means to understand eye. Skeletal, muscular, skin, the blocking that represents all of them, the tools that you need in order to pull them off. So your brain loves lists. All brains love lists. And so doing trace over diagrams helps you bridge the gap between cube or a square and finally the final picture of an eye, the final rendition of an eye. Because yes, there's your issue with square to cube, but did you know after the cube there's another issue, which is making that cube look less like a cube? And that's where this student is right here. They're not quite line dependent, but they're also not quite there in jumping that big gap. They believe in form studies. Congratulations on these form studies. I'm really proud of any form study I see because I know this student's about to transform their life. But make sure that these eventually have to become a picture of an eye, a drawing of an eye, your characters, whoever you want to draw. Thank you guys for watching today. I hope today revealed to you something that you don't quite think about, which is overly blocked faces, over reliance on the geometry, and not introducing an anatomical references or interacting with anatomical references, meaning photos, soon enough, not integrating it into your knowledge soon enough. You end up with those really weird diagrammy, mechanical, Optimus Prime looking drawings, which don't make much sense. So if you want to get better at drawing a portrait and you want to learn everything there is to learn, get my masterclass. It's on sale, and it's only on sale until the end of April. So if you need help knowing what the companion class that shows you everything I didn't show you today and touched on everything I touched on today, but even more in detail, get my masterclass. It's on sale and it'll help you. Portrait Studio is also on sale, so you saw how it helps you. You saw how it can directly be involved in your study, meaning you can just get this model and use it to learn how to blend, because all you really have to, it's already been blocked for you. You're just practicing your blending. So this model here can show you, yes, now that I got my blocks here, this is where I can blend. And I think the issue, one of the issues with this student is that they didn't know how to blend or what they will be blending. So they can block to blend, write that back to me. That's also on sale on my store. To join the community, click on the community tab here and join our Discord server to join the Floral Humanoid Design Challenge, or click on the subreddit icon right here. All the work I looked at today, I looked at for free, and both these community options are where you can submit your art for critique. I don't care what your background is in art. I don't care if you think you're good or you think you suck at art. Submit your work. I look at all kinds of skill levels. I talk about all kinds of problems, just like today I talked about overblocking. Last class I talked about over dependence, or before that I talked about not knowing how to use soft brush. Last class I talked about 3/4 view. I talk about whatever you guys submit, so please don't be shy. Submit your work. You're part of a community, which is one of the main things that helps you improve. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next week, the 18th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you everyone for coming. Remember, Portrait Studio is on sale, and the Floral Humanoid Design Challenge is going to be due around mid-May to end of May. Thanks guys, bye!